Reaperman here with Asteroids on the Atari 7800 Pro system. Asteroids is the usual space shooter where you warp or thrust around and try and break big rocks into small rocks. Let's get some going here. Now this is the 7800 version. I'm actually playing it on my Analogue Interactive NT Mini. It's an FPGA system. As you can see, I'm also playing it on my Neo Geo controller because I've built myself an adapter, and part of the adapter also allows me a button to thrust, so I can hit A and thrust around instead of having to hit up. Now the game has two buttons normally, so one button is shoot and the other one is hyperspace, where you can warp around and possibly die. It's a good thing to use that only when you absolutely know you're not going to make it, because I just kind of wasted a man there when I didn't need to. Now this is a nice little graphical update of Asteroids over the Atari 2600 version, or the Atari 800 version that I grew up with. Whoop. It has some nice little rotation on the asteroids themselves. The little ones tend to be, you know, a little more abstract than the big ones. The big ones the rotation looks a lot better on. Interestingly, on Asteroids, you might think the big asteroids are worth more points. They're not. They're actually worth the least points. It's the little ones that are worth the most. They're worth 100 a pop, and the big ones are only worth 20. This game has various different multiplayer modes and various different difficulty settings. Right now I'm just playing on the default, which, if I'm honest, feels just a skosh easy. Not that I'm any kind of Asteroids master, as you can see from my high score, and that, I believe, truly is around my high score on this game. As I get older, I tend to like these Atari 7800 games a lot more than, say, games on the Nintendo Entertainment System, which is the system I got when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I was asking for the 7800 system for years, and eventually they ended up getting me a Nintendo Entertainment System. Probably the reason I was asking for it is they made me pick my Christmas presents out of like a 1985 Sears Wish book or 1986 Sears Wish book. I really wanted to get the 7800 because it had that Double Dragon game on it that I had heard so much about. It was even 88. So anyway, I'm not an Asteroids master. I do tend to make it long enough to get the free man at 10,000 points. But I never get high enough to see if you get a free man with every 10,000 points, or if it does something like double after that. That's not really a concern for me, since I don't think I've ever cracked 15,000 points in this game. But I do enjoy it, and I especially enjoy it with this controller, even though it's loud and probably annoying you guys to bits. But I really like the button for thrusting. I always seem to forget about the warp button until after I've needed it. But I guess that's just par for the course. It seems to get me into too much trouble anyway. Ooh. As I get older, I've learned to appreciate these quick pick-up-and-play arcade sessions a lot more than, say, the lengthier games on the Nintendo Entertainment System. I'm doing just horribly. I really like that I can be into a game and out of it again in just 5 minutes time. I think back in the day I just had more time to play video games. Atari 7800 actually has some truly great arcade ports. What I like about this one is they didn't try and make it look like the Asteroids arcade game, which is good because they really can't. The Asteroids arcade game is a vector system, and You can't display... I mean, fake vectors look like fake vectors. They never look. Especially when they're at this horribly low resolution, you know, 240p, whatever it is here. And what you see is what you get. This is all the game ever really is. There's a second size of saucer that gets introduced after a while. That's according to the manual. I've never seen it because, again, not an issue with me. Because I never really get too far in this game. Uh-oh. Oh, seems like I'm about to get my one-up here. As I bust up a few of these big ones. There he is. I've really been happy with the Analogue Interactive NT Mini. It's a shame. I think they're sold out and they may not be making anymore. They seem to be gearing up for production on the Super NT, which is a system that there's not actually a lot of good details out there for. Now, will you be able to do the core store that this system does? And truthfully, we don't know, but probably will. I have not played too much NES on this system, which, you know, is supposed to be its intended purpose. I'm just having too much fun with all these weird systems. And it does a variety of really weird systems, too, like Vitara Supervision. I've got one of those, and I've tried to play it, but the screen is so bad that just hasn't worked out. So this system makes a very attractive option for that. I don't even know if there's really an emulator for that system. I am just having a blast here with this game. But I think I've gone on pretty much long enough because it's Asteroids, and what you see in level 1 is basically what the game looks like at level 100. So, I think that's long enough for this video.